Now, if we take a closer look at this section, we have a few rows that are just stockinette, and then to add a little bit of texture, we have one row that's like seed stitch, which is like alternating knits and purls. We have a few rows of stockinette again, and then we have the rows with the bubble. I'm gonna make a separate video for how to make the bubble stitch. There's a lot of different ways to make bubbles, and I'll just show you how I like to make mine for this project, but you can use another bubble technique if you prefer. Then you have a few rows of stockinette again, this one row of knits and purls, seed stitch, and then a few rows of stockinette again, just to finish it off. So it's a pretty plain section, except for those bubbles, which are definitely not as hard as you would think. In this video, I want to show you how to make a beautiful bubble stitch. You have a lot of different ways you can make one. It can have like different heights, and also like how you start it and how you finish it can make it like a skewed bubble to one direction or the other one. This bubble that I'm going to show you is a very round, very symmetrical bubble, which is what I wanted for this project. But of course you can substitute with whatever you want and other techniques you find. So I'm gonna just make a bubble on this like small little swatch that I made. I'm gonna put it in the middle, so it's gonna be on the 5th stitch here, but obviously you need to put it wherever your patterns tell you. So I'm gonna knit up to where I want to make my bubble. So this 5th stitch is where I'm gonna make it. Now, one thing to remember is for making those bubbles is to try to work always on the point of your needles so that you don't stretch out, especially that 1st stitch, and like when you finish off your bubble, so that those aren't stretched out, because otherwise it will leave a gap. The pointier your needles, the easier it's going to be, like the longer the pointy part, but you can do it with any needles, but this is just like helpful. So first you're going to knit through the front and knit through the back. Don't drop the stitch, and you're going to do that again in the same stitch. So you're going to do 2 knit front back in the same stitch, starting to get tight, and then you're still not dropping it. You're going to knit it one more time just through the front. Make sure not to drop any threads or pieces of it. So you now have like 5 loops on your needle for your bubble. Then you're going to turn your work, try not to drop everything, and you're just going to purl those 5 stitches. As you can see, it's a little clumsy, like keeping them on the points, but it's gonna give you the best results. So you need to like find out what works best for you. I always use the other technique where I don't need to purl, that I'll show you after. So that's why I'm so clumsy, but it works. So you've purled all 5. Gonna turn your work again. Ooh, don't drop your stitches. So I still have those 5 from my bubble, and it's starting to have some sort of a shape. And then I'm gonna knit them, all 5 of them, and purl them again. So in total, I will have worked like the equivalent of 4 rows on like those 5 stitches to make the fabric for the bubble. So I'm gonna, I did 4. The 5th one, and then I can turn. The first one of every row, I like to keep like extra tight so that the edges of my bubble are nice and tight, and like keep it on the points. So you just purl, whether you purl continental or English, it doesn't matter, whatever works for you. I tend to switch between both, as you can see, depending on what I'm doing, but the result will be the same. Turn your work one more time. So now you always have your 5 stitches, and you've worked them for like 4 rows. Now we have 5 stitches, so we're gonna cast them off, and to get them off, we're gonna slide them over each other in a way that makes it symmetrical, so that the middle stitch is the last one that's left over. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna slip my stitches knitwise on my right needle until I get to the middle one. I'm going to slip that one too, and then I'm going to pass over the second stitch over the middle one. And I pass it back to the other needle, and I slide the one before last stitch over the middle one. Pass it on the other needle again, slide the first one over. This one is the one that has like the working yarn, so you can pull it tight. And then you just go back to the other needle again and slide that last stitch over it. And now you've cast off all 5 of them, well, 4 of them. So you have one left. You can consider that one's been knit. We'll make it tight on the next round. So you can pop out your bubble so that the fabric pops out nicely. That next stitch on your row, you should knit it like extra tight to make sure to secure your bubble. And then you finish knitting your row as usual. Turn your work, and on your next row, you're going to tighten extra the stitches that are coming before the bubble, after the bubble, and the bubble stitch. So those 3, you just tighten them like extra, just to secure it in place and to avoid like any gaps. And if I turn my work again, I have a pretty bubble. That is pretty symmetric from the bottom to the top. So now the big problem with bubbles like this one is that you have to turn your work a lot of times for like each row inside the bubble, which can be very frustrating and heavy when you're working on a big project like a blanket. So here's my trick to not have to turn your work when you're working bubbles. I use what is called reverse knitting instead of purling. So let me show you. So to make your bubble, so this bubble is very symmetrical and very round. You can make them longer, you can make them wider, you can make them like lift to one side or the other one. There's a lot of different ways to start it and finish it for that. But here I'm going to show you how to make this round symmetrical one and how to do it without purling. So I'm going to knit up to the place where I want to make my bubble. In this small swatch, it's on my 5th stitch. Now I'm going to start it just like I've done it for this bubble. So I'm going to knit front back. You keep that loop on your needle and you're going to knit front back through it again, which is starting to get tight, and that's normal and that's not fun, but that's how it is. And then you're going to knit it one last time through the front loop. Up. So you have 5 stitches for your bubbles on your needle. Those 5 stitches are the ones you're going to work to make the bubble. Keep them on the tip of your needle so that they don't stretch out too much, especially that one. And yeah, the longer the tip of your needle, like the easier it's going to be, but it works with all types of needles. So what you normally do now is turn your work and purl that row of 5 stitches, but instead of purling it, we're going to reverse knitting. So we're going to go with your left needle is going to work your stitches on your right needle, which is the opposite of what you usually do. So it's kind of like you're purling, but you're looking at it from the right side. So you're going to insert your left needle through the back loop of that stitch on the right needle. I hold my yarn in my right hand for this, which is easier if I place it there first. I'm gonna yarn over from the back to the front and pull up a loop, and you've technically purled that stitch. So you insert your left needle from the front through the back loop. You're going to yarn over with your working yarn, pull up a loop. So that's 2, 3 more to go. Okay, so now I'm back at the beginning of my bubble. I'm going to switch my working yarn from hand again so that I can knit those 5. I need to knit 1 row and purl 1 row again so that I've worked 4 rows total for this, like these 5 stitches to form the fabric of the bubble. So I'm going to knit them now, like I've just normal knitting, all 5 of them. And now it's supposed to be purling, so that's the same as like the reverse knitting. All right, so now I have my bubble fabric, which is 4 rows high. So now I want to finish off the bubble. So for that, I'm gonna slip stitches over the other ones in a way that makes the central stitch stay in the center. So I'm gonna start by slipping the first 2 stitches purlwise. Then I slip the third one. I'm gonna pass over the second one over the third one. I bring that middle stitch back on the other needle, slip the 4th stitch over it, pass that middle loop again on the other needle, slip that 1st stitch over it, pass it again on the other needle, and slip the last loop over it. So that way you've kept your middle stitch as the middle stitch, and you've like cast off, looped over like all the other ones. And then I'm gonna put it on my right needle and consider it knit, and then I keep knitting the end of my row. This first stitch I'm gonna make extra tight to tighten up my bubble and make sure that there's no like holes, and I'll do the same on the next row, just to tighten everything and make sure that there's no holes anywhere. I use reverse knitting anytime I need to purl. So you can do this reverse knitting for your bubble, but you can also do it for like any purl stitch or any purl row in your project, which makes it very, very easy for blankets. So those 3 stitches, the one before the bubble, the one of the bubble, and the one after the bubble, make them extra tight so that your bubble doesn't come loose. And you have a pretty bubble. Just shape it with your fingers like this and you're good to go.